but I've been to backyard ragers. Like, we look at each other like, bro, this was awesome. This was awesome. We shouldn't do this party indoor, outdoor. Beautiful night. Where do you think everyone was?
Everyone went outside.
There you go.
Wedding shows, brides and grooms. Here's a question. I dare you. I triple dog dare you to ask any vendor when you go.
The client thinks that what we do is fake. It's not real.
Right. You get results like this, folks. Is happening when people are seating. Now the lights are up here. I am right
Brides
here.
are more interested in the aesthetic look.
Oh, look at that handsome guy. Look at that guy.
You look good in all black, makes you look skinny.
Oh, look at that. But in all seriousness, when you make sure I have that's good to go.
Yeah, there's a ton of topics we could probably hit.
Dude, so I pretty much brought you on because the concept of this entire podcast for me was really to give information from the other side of the fence for a lot of couples and people like yourself, me, guys like that.
Guys that do this for a career full time.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to stress that on your podcast a lot.
But it's like but I'll tell you something. It's like being a business owner, being a DJ, both of us are married, doing this for as long as we've had.
Correct.
Which I'm not even going to talk about the amount of years because
doesn't matter. Because you know why? I don't even mean to cut you off. That doesn't matter because at this point now, the client thinks that what we do is fake. It's not real.
Right.
This is not real until they don't get a professional at the biggest day of their life and it's screwed. And the day's screwed.
That's the biggest downplay is that they don't understand that what they're actually doing themselves is actually more harmful than good. And that's another reason why I want to talk about it because how do you essentially the question always has been, how do you tell somebody that their thought process is wrong unless you have proof and tactics to allow them to get away from that mentality? And that's essentially what this podcast was for because if I'm I've always looked at it as like, if I'm a bride.
Correct. You'd be a very beautiful bride.
Thank you very much. I look like my sister. I know. Except just less hairy.
Short hair.
But going back, it's like if I was a bride, you get your information from referral all the time.
My entire business is referral based.
Right. And even outside the business aspect, like, okay, what did you do money-wise for this? What did you do money-wise for this? What did you go here? What did you go there? Because every single bride that I know of around my age is always like, what did I see first? Did I like that? And then I'm going to go to the person that I attended that and, and ask that question. The downside is when you get information from outside of those resources, they're usually polar opposite of what that person told you. And then now you have a slur of misinformation that now the bride or the groom has to make a decision based on the only two resources that they have.
Correct.
Which is that misinformation from a global scale, which is something like Wedding Wire, Wedding Pro, The Knot. I know you raise your eyes. I know in the same way.
Because I say to everyone, even like my small crew of staff that I keep around, and I'm like, they'll be like, oh, how'd the meeting go? Because same thing like you, my shop's in the back, my office in the front.
Right.
And I'm like, well, she came in with information from like a wedding that happened in a barn in Wichita.
Yeah.
But then you're telling me you want a DJ's wedding. Like, I can't wait for that to phase out. Well, I don't think it ever will. The place is sick, but it'll never phase out. But that's the reference.
DJ's has been around and will probably continue to be around past even our time.
I have a bride this weekend. I want 16 LEDs. I said, your room's 7,600 square feet. What's 16 LEDs going to do?
No, it's nothing.
But how do you explain that? How do you explain that when you have, forget about, you want to use the quote undercutters. There's always going to be an undercutter.
Yeah.
In the flooring business, in the wall business, in any business, there's going to be somebody that just wants to go out and work for peanuts. We get that. But how do you come off without being cocky or arrogant or whatever and trying to really explain to people? Because I think the podcasting you're doing is super awesome. But a lot of my brides that are coming to me, I can't meet because I work. My husband works. Then he goes to a second job, and then this, and then that. So how do you do this verbally over the phone without showing them, without really getting to the nitty gritty? Because everyone, people walk in my office, well, not recently. A lot of it is more done through email this year and the end of 24. And they're blatantly sending me people's pricing and this and that. I don't have a price sheet. Every room's different.
Well, to answer your question, number one is there are a couple ways I do it. For my clients, I always tell them, listen, just like if you were to go to the doctor or just if you were to go to the lawyer, you usually take a day off. Your wedding, you're going to invest. Here's my thing for brides. If you're going to invest north of $40,000, which in where we're from, that's a layup of a number.
Yes,
that's
a starting point.
You're going to break that. So if you're going to spend that much money, would you not agree that spending one day, whether you dedicate that for all of your vendors or 2 vendors or whatever else, take the day off, tell your spouse or your future spouse to take the day off and dedicate that day to making sure that your investment for the celebration is going to be properly utilized. That's number one. You have to relay that message, because if they ignore it, then that means they're burning their money regardless. It doesn't even matter if it's a $10,000 investment. They're going to burn their money because they're blind to what they're spending their money to.
Correct.
As a professional, my job is to show them, okay, look, you want this, you're severely undercutting it. Here's why. I'll meet you at your venue. I've done site surveys where I've upsold clients because I'm like, hey, this is the size of the room. You want 16 LEDs? I'm going to put out 4. Now, does this look like it's going to cover the room? No? Fine. You're going to need, you said 7,700 square feet. That's at least,
and it's 2 level. There's a mezzanine. This. It's just. I was just giving you like an analogy to talk by.
Yeah.
I mean, we could sit here and talk about the negatives all day long. There's more negatives than positives.
Yeah.
That's what's really sad about the industry.
And the biggest thing about you, Chris, is that, when you started C4, and I want to kind of give your background.
Go ahead. I'm an open book.
Yeah. So the biggest thing about you, Chris, is that you were one of the pioneers for, or in my opinion, one of the pioneers for enhancing lighting aesthetics for weddings.
Yes.
Because you were actually, from my recollection, the first that I know of to actually use Asteric tubes.
I'm selling them. I just told somebody called me today.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, what lights do you use? I says, we have beams, we have hybrids, we have all of this stuff. That definitely helps enhance a wedding. The tube thing, it's over with. You guys can sell. I'm selling mine. I'm working on something else now.
But you were the first one to actually use tube lighting for the aesthetics of the DJ.
Yes, and I didn't put a blog about them, and I didn't show everybody this is a lightsaber tube like everybody else did.
Yeah, but it didn't take long.
It didn't take long for people to start acting like they created the light fixture. I get it.
It was one of
the Asteric tubes were way before 2017.
Yeah, they were, so for people who don't understand, the Asteric tubes are actually mainly used for lighting. They were for photography.
It's film lighting.
It's film lighting and photography lighting. So it's really meant for, like, if you're doing a music video,
correct,
you'd put the rapper or the singer in front of the Asteric tubes in a blacked out room, and that's where they'd be able to be the showroom. You've seen that in like Diddy
party.
In a Diddy party. No, but you see it in the old school like rap videos. You would see it in sports entrances.
It was just something different and unique at the time, and I was able to obtain funding to get that done because they're very expensive. Now, that look is over. I started it. Won't quote it. You guys can say what you want. I brought them into my inventory in 2017. Don't forget, I hate to say it, we went through COVID. I travel a lot to see different things that go on in different areas.
Yeah.
I don't put that on my Instagram, but I do a lot. Like when I was doing furniture, I would travel. I would look at hotel lobbies. I would look at hotel rooms, like in bougie chic places, stuff like that, to see what I could put into a rental fleet. Once COVID hit, we all suffered, and then we came back like a bat out of hell. But as of this morning, I actually said I'm going to be cleaning up, testing batteries, and seeing what I could get for them. I'm going to offload them. Maybe there's somebody that wants to get into it now. That's not going to make people dance. I promise you. It was just cool to add to the setup, but that's not going to help you make people dance.
But the real reason why I brought it up is because you took something that was an aesthetic. Because in my opinion, DJs have always been very behind on aesthetic approaches for weddings, because I would like to think, or history has proven to us, that more brides focus on the aesthetics or the concept of the day.
Well, that's because and I don't mean to cut you off. I am so sorry. Okay. And that's something I just had a conversation with somebody recently about. Brides are more interested in the aesthetic look. But the DJ had this in the air and he had the TV in front of him, but your dance floor wasn't crowded.
Right.
You're a professional DJ. I don't know if you guys know this. He might stay as humble as me, but you're an awesome DJ.
Thank you.
I'm not saying that because you invited me on this podcast. I watched when you were doing the turntable thing. I watched all of that. I'll make you blush at this whole thing. You are an unbelievable DJ entertainer. But do you understand that we have to change everything now because people are going on podcasts or people are going on Instagram and they're describing their equipment?
Right.
Like, does the bride need to know that this is a 55, 75, 150-inch insignia, and you need this for your big day?
Yeah.
Like, why are we describing stuff like this to a bride and groom?
Well, I've always said something, the people who do that, and this is a tip for brides, if any vendor is trying to tell you the technical aspects of why you should do something, it's usually a red flag of why you shouldn't book them. Because that usually means that they don't have an emotional attachment to why you need it. They just tell you, oh,
they're selling equipment to you, like you're at Best Buy.
This is a shiny toy, and having a shiny toy is going to make your day better.
See, you put it in a better educated way than
Well, but it's important to, like, if I was to talk to a 5-year-old and I was to say, this is what I do, I have to put it in the simplest terms possible. And
idiot proof it.
And brides and grooms, please do not take this the wrong way, but you are the 5-year-olds because you don't know what we do. You have a concept of what we do.
That's where the trust factor comes in.
Yeah.
That's where the trust. If you're sent to me or you or whoever on a referral, okay, then you have to have a little bit of trust in the people that recommended you and the people like us that you're sitting with. That's the biggest thing. And I always post that if I do an event. Thank you for trusting us.
Right.
Because I have brides that come in. Chris, I want to do this. I want to do that. Like I did a birthday party recently. Really shouldn't do this party indoor, outdoor. Really shouldn't do this party indoor, outdoor.
We talked about that in the podcast.
Really shouldn't do this party indoor, outdoor. Beautiful night. Where do you think everyone was?
Everyone went outside.
There you go. Yeah. But we got the cigar roller, so you don't want people to dance.
So I have
and no offense to cigar rollers.
No,
some people love cigars, but why are we making an announcement in the middle of the last dance of the night that the cigar roller is outside?
Let's touch on that really quickly because I
got so much to talk about,
dude,
John. You got me. You got me. I'm going. The coffee's got me.
But dude, that's why I want to talk about important things like, okay,
go ahead.
I'm a cigar smoker.
Cool.
Cigar bourbon thing is really cool. You know when you do that? 2 times you do that. Number one, if you're doing an all outdoor event. That's number one. If you're doing a summer event outdoors with a nice tent by a pool, or you're doing a Caribbean party somewhere like Jamaica, Mexico, something of that nature, having a cigar roller is incredibly beneficial. Having a cigar roller towards dessert would be the only time you do it, and it's only really for handouts as favors to leave. Because if you announce it any time earlier than dessert, you are bound for people to enjoy the rest of your reception outside smoking and drinking, which is not a bad way to celebrate. But again, if you're spending so much money on the venue, entertainment, photography, videography, florals, everything that's supposed to really help the indoor celebration, you just threw all that money out for a $5,000 enhancement with cigar rollers. So it's purposeful. Everything you do has to be purposeful. I can't stress this enough. Even like when we talk about lighting, right? Which again, kudos to Chris and what he's done in that aspect. And I'm actually going to share some of the concept of your designs. But when a client says to us, and I know this is going to run you ragged.
I'm all ears. I'm letting you do your thing. Go ahead.
When a client goes to you and says, "Oh, do we really need the lighting because our venue offers it?"
Oh yeah, that's all the time.
Yeah. What do you usually tell them? Because we can go.
I mean, there's no disrespect to anyone. I'm a little. So this is going to be like a double-edged sword here. People, other vendors might want to hang me on this one.
That's okay. We're going to be used.
I've trained some guys that work with me, and some guys have taught me some stuff with programming, being around other professionals that have done concerts, this and that. My whole motto with my business was being different. So why I went the lighting route was because I'm sure you can vouch for me.
Oh yeah.
The copycat effect with everyone is brutal.
It is.
And where we came from, our hometown, we're both from the same area, and now, where we are today, it's we're in the same area again, which is cool. But the copycat, I have these, but you don't know how to use those. And I'm sure you can vouch for that. Like the route I went, I'm sorry, I went off topic.
That's okay.
It's more along the lines of my biggest thing when I created my brand was I wanted people to ask who we were. I didn't want people to walk into an event, whether it was anything, a car show, a corporate event, a wedding, and go, I know who they are by the setup. I wanted people to ask. So that was my mentality of let's be different. The only way at the time to be different was everyone went white. I powder coated everything black. Lighting went completely different. I knew that, I was lucky enough to obtain funding for the Astera fixtures at the time. They were very, very expensive 7 years ago. Now there's knockoffs of them, so on and so forth. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I come from nothing, so I could talk like this. I was able to purchase them. I did it. It was what it was. So I had to be different and move a little different than everyone else. And I never explained to anybody what they were because there's no need. It was an aesthetic look, but we also knew how to use them. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's gear back there that you guys have. I'm like, that's dope. I don't know how to use it.
Well, it's one of the things where what you said about, being able to pay for it and everything else is people have to understand that you have to, in order to set a standard, there comes a monetary value that comes with that. That's usually a sacrifice.
Yes.
That becomes the new standard of which everybody wants. So for that small window, there's that opportunity that allows you to be incredibly unique to any other consumer, whether that's a bride, groom, even brides and grooms. Like I remember when Sparks first came out, it was all the rage. Now you can't even get them into venues anymore.
Do you want to laugh? Like we were the first one, I think, in the state of New Jersey with the quote unquote license for them.
Yeah.
Nobody knew because I didn't go on a podcast or I didn't go on my Instagram and talk into it and say, ladies and gentlemen, here's our certificate. After we spent the $30,000, you know what happened? Ming Ling sold them to everybody for 10 cents on the dollar. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. Like that's the thing. And I've been always trying, and I hope I'm not going off topic, but I'm like a 5-year-old. And when I start thinking, my brain keeps going. It's like, how do you get in front of the consumer's eye and without coming off cocky?
Well, it's number one, it's doing this. It's educating and entertaining. To answer your question it's educating and entertain the clients.
Do you want a cool setup or do you want a fun party?
Right. Well, you can have both.
You can.
Right.
You absolutely
can have both.
But I don't know.
Well, let's talk about
Go
your
ahead.
setups.
Go ahead.
So, like for example, like this is one of your setups. This is from 20. I know this is not from 2023. I think this is way before.
No, that's way before 2023.
This is way 2023. But folks, this is what we're talking about for the concept of the lighting. Not only did he create the aesthetics of the room in the booth, which became a centerpiece for people to look at, but you used functionality with the moving heads, which for people who don't know what moving heads are, those are those nightclub lights that you see for dancing and spotlight effects. You also have, technician controlled lights, which are these moving lights that we're talking about. Oh, look at that handsome guy. Look at that guy.
Do look good in all black, makes you look skinny.
Look at that. But in all seriousness, when you have an actual light tech who knows what they're doing and coordinating the lights to create the atmosphere that you want to create, you get this dynamic effect. I mean, look at this. And again, going back to praising you, I mean, you're able to use haze in this room. Haze is that atmosphere.
I use haze in every room. I just wait to get yelled at. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're lucky because I don't have the balls to do that.
You know what? If you have the right gear, it will not set off any fire alarms. That's the true story. Mm-hmm. Like they make a $300 one, they make a $3,000 one. You have to find your equal medium, kind of test and tune to see what's going to work and what's not going to work. But you are right.
But it's one of those things where haze makes a huge difference. The video aspects. I mean, again, going back to using all black. I personally have loved all the black, and again, you also.
That's when I started.
Yeah,
remember, there was no white. There was no white when I started. That was when scrims came out. We were using black. I'm not going to say tablecloth, but like black pipe and base at the time, cut down because they didn't even make it.
Plywood facades that were in black.
67 pounds.
Yeah, they were so heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was classic. But the thing about black, what people don't understand, actually blends in with everything in the room aesthetically, because if you do like what Chris is doing in this photo, you have a black dance floor, you have black framing on the windowsill.
The only reason her logo was white because it was too much black. I just inverted it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It was all black logo.
Yeah. But again,
it was just too dark. So.
But there's a reason why people go to black tie affairs. There's a reason why people associate black with some form of elegance, because it goes with everything.
Correct.
It goes with rose gold. It goes with gold. It goes with white. It goes with a teal blue. It goes with virtually anything. So when you have a black setup, you open the opportunity for the rest of the room to pop. And that's what I think you discovered, whether consciously or subconsciously, you were able to do that with these setups. Now, I want to do this in comparison, going back to my initial question, is like, people are like, oh, well, what happens if my venue offers lighting? And if I may, before you jump in, I'm going to say this. Yes, they may offer lighting. The reason why they offer lighting is because the venues saw an opportunity to get Joe Schmo DJs who don't know what they're doing out of their venue and for them to make very small amounts of income. Okay, the venue I'm speaking about. The downside to that is they are not in the realm of education in regards to operating these machines. And what happens is you get results like this, folks. and I'm going to share. This is happening when people are seating. Now the lights are up here. I am right here, talking to our bride and groom, getting ready for toasts. And what are these lights doing? Moving to nothing, to literally nothing. So I literally have nightclub lighting happening when people are supposed to be getting ready for toasts.
You just brought something back to my mind. Okay.
Go ahead, tell me.
It's July 3rd. It was a Sunday night, 2010. Mm-hmm. It's one of my best friend's weddings. Mm-hmm. And 2010. What year are we going into? 2025.
Oh my God, 15 years ago. Oh my God, okay.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. Tell the DJ we have screens. Tell the DJ we have lighting. Tell the DJ no names, no anything. MPW was the videographers and photographers at the time. This is when they first hit the Staten Island market. Mm-hmm. So there was like 6 shooters. It was huge.
Yeah.
Every proof that my bride got, everyone was blue like a Smurf because they never changed the lighting in the room at once.
Oh, the lighting and everything else, yeah.
We, at the time, my old company, I believe we had like 25 video wall panels in 2010. That's before processing was easy to do and learn, so on and so forth. You know, the venue had these cool projectors there, $100,000 install, and our video wall panels blew them out of the water. Mm-hmm. It was like ancient compared to what we had at the time, and we were new to it.
Right.
But that was my biggest thing, and I say it all the time. Like, I don't want to hear you as a bride or a groom tell me, but the venue has this, and the guy walks around with an iPad. We don't rehearse. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When have you went to a venue and rehearsed on a Wednesday or a Thursday for an intro because they're doing lighting?
No.
Never.
No. I
Never.
mean, well,
you're being sold something.
You're being sold something, and also, I also understand the venue's point of view too, because unfortunately, you of all people know that there are more schmucks in our business than there are actual professionals. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, when the schmucks speak for the vast majority of professionals, you get retaliation from said venues. And I understand their point of view. I'm not saying they're right, because I think there are a lot of conversations that need to be opened up about that.
Without a doubt. And we have to be politically correct on this because this, you know.
Well, you know, I try to be as diplomatic as possible in all accounts, being a business owner and understanding that I have my point of view and things of being done. With that said, I do find it very funny that a lot of these venues that originally started by doing this and offering that their staff would be in control of the lighting now give us their iPad.
Yes.
And say,
yes,
here, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. And I'm like, okay, see, this is where it becomes more of an issue for us, because if you're going to offer this to our clients and you're going to take money out of our account for our work to be done, now you're asking us to do your work for no money.
It's not even, you are right, and I don't mean to cut you off, but you're booking an entertainment group or you're booking a talented DJ. He has his ways. He has his show. There's a lighting guy that's next to him 3 to 4 days a week and could possibly know what he's transferring to in the next song, know that there's a strobe needed, knows this, knows that grandma's at table 5 and that light can't hit grandma on table 5. We don't want her to have a seizure.
Yeah.
There's nobody walking around with an iPad that's going to do that.
No.
There's no.
Or most of the time, the people walking around with the iPad at the venue don't even know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing.
Right.
They know that this button will turn it blue. This button will make the move. This is correct. Spotlight, but they're not able to program live, which can be incredibly.
I also want to make one. I hope you make a little clip out of this. Can we please stop offering clients 2 moving heads?
Yeah,
that's 2 left shoes.
Yeah.
Can we stop?
I agree.
Stop. Give them an automatic light fixture, because even if you're putting 2 towers up, whatever they call them, totems, towers, this and that, you're not even programming them correct. It's useless for the people.
Yeah.
Whether it is a afternoon event or a small 50, 60 person gathering, if you're putting them on and they're spinning around like you're at a bowling alley, you're doing nothing for the customer. You're tarnishing them.
Right.
Well, you're turning around and saying, "No, I booked Jimmy. He came with the 2 moving lights and this and that."
But you're talking about people who do this. Look, I just want to show this. And you actually sent this to me. This is what you mean.
Yeah, I had a client send this. I had to crop it because I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
It's okay.
But somebody did send this to me. What is this going to do?
Nothing.
What is that going to do? Matter of fact, the light's shining outside the mirror.
So a couple of things that are wrong with this for those who don't understand what we're looking at. Number one, you are up against windows in the daylight, which typically means that those lights are not going to get any reflection on the dance floor whatsoever. That's number one.
And they're the size of a Milwaukee flashlight. They're not going to do anything at all.
Well, this is probably a 75 watt, which
Listen, you all have to start somewhere. I get it. I 100% get it. I do not want to talk like who I am because once again, that's not what I'm about. But you're tarnishing. Like somebody posted this on a bridal group, and then it trickled down to me because I had a very uneducated bride. Chris, can we do something like this? And I'm going, first of all, she's planning a bridal shower. We're already doing our wedding. Can we do this at the bridal shower? But my aunt found this guy. He's including these two totems. But what is that doing?
Well, it doesn't do anything.
I understand that it's not doing anything, but how do you explain it to somebody? Maybe I need an educational course on how to explain it in a super educated way instead of saying it's doing nothing. That's doing nothing for your bridal shower, for your baby shower, for whatever other thing you want to try.
I only tell people that, again, educating clients are, if somebody's throwing something in for free, you have to ask why.
I throw things in for free because I also, like I said in the beginning of this show, my business is personality based. So we don't want to talk about franchising. It's personality based. That's number one. And number two, I'm very big with referrals because I don't do shows.
Oh, that's another topic we're going to talk about. Go ahead.
Cool. I don't do shows. And moral of the story is I don't do shows, and I do a lot of self-marketing, and I'm very big on referral base. So I do give discounts based on a referral, based on somebody that, last thing I want to do is you did Jack and Jill's wedding, blah, 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 and they paid this. And then I have to open up an invoice system and say, well, they were here. There wasn't 7 flights of stairs that I had to bring 3 extra people. Oh, the guy said we can use the elevator. He doesn't allow us to use the elevator. I promise you that. That's why this was 3 extra staff members. That's why this, that's why that. So I understand explaining that to somebody, but explaining the nonsense that you just showed, I think it's a little aggravating for me now.
Yeah. So
I'm good. I have children. I'm good with patients. I love playing with kids. But when you come in with guns blazing, like who you are, and my friend's a DJ, so why are you here? There's so much to talk about.
There's okay. So I'll start with this in regards to if a client came into me and say so and so paid this much. First things first, again for brides and grooms, once you're done with your wedding, do yourself a favor. Do not disclose how much you paid on your wedding to anybody.
Absolutely.
Don't do that. Here's why. When you do that, you sent an unprecedented and, quite frankly, false narrative to your neighbor that if they're getting married 3 years down the road, because let's face it, let's say you get married this year in 2024, or you just got married in 2024.
Yep.
If your friend is getting married in 2026 because they just got engaged this year,
the price per plate's going up already. That's number one.
Price per plate's going up. All the vendors are going to have to raise their pricing due to inflation, taxes, business expenses, demand, which is also another big thing.
Whether you want to believe it or not, it costs us money to be insured to play music.
Yeah, but the biggest tell I tell people when they come in and they pay this much, I'd be like, understood. You're reserving something 2 years in advance. We will be booked that day. And due to the increase in demand, due to our work, we feel that our service is worth X amount. The question you have to ask yourself as a couple is, how much are these people worth to me? And if the answer is, I can't have anybody else other than them, then you'll have no problem paying it, even if it's $2,000 more. That is the nature of the wedding industry, and quite frankly, any industry. Doesn't matter what you're in. That's life. It sucks, but it is true. It's just what you're going to pay. So the reality check that you have to give to clients, in my opinion, is, look, I'm going to be in demand for your wedding. If you want to reserve me right now, this is the price, and quite frankly,
they don't
it's going
believe
to be
that.
a steal.
They don't believe that.
All right, then,
no.
I'm
not saying it to you. No. There's a lot of
call bluffs. It's okay to call bluffs, in my opinion.
My biggest thing is this. Hey, could you send me pricing? I was going to do a skit on this. Actually, my content people I'm working with for 25, they were like, they talk to you, ask you what you want to do, and I get aggravated. I'm like, why am I giving you ideas and I'm paying you? You should be giving me ideas. But that's not for today. My biggest thing was, as I'm talking to them, and as I just received an inquiry just now, can you please send me pricing? Mm-hmm. What do you want pricing on? Mm-hmm. Can you please send me pricing?
Yeah, because they're under the assumption.
But you didn't tell me what you don't tell me. Can you send me pricing? Hmm? Bro, we were going to call. We were going to call a contractor. Mm-hmm. Hey, how much is it to put a wall up? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the same concept, no?
Well, where's the wall?
Where's the wall going? How big's the wall?
Do I have to tear anything down? Is that
right?
Okay.
You don't get that when you're negotiating a deal, when you're modeling your home and you refinance your house and you're going to do all of this cool stuff you've seen on Pinterest. You don't care.
Well, the answer you have to go with. So, from what I learned in our business now, is when somebody asks direct questions like, "Hey, can you get me pricing?" Sure. Standard packages for a 5-hour reception start at here. Our average price for majority of our weddings are here. And if you want to learn more about an a la carte system, here's our price sheet.
Every venue's different.
Right.
That's what I tell you. You didn't even tell me where your wedding was.
Yeah. I mean,
we don't even know if it's a wedding. Can you send me pricing? What am I sending you pricing for?
Somebody send me pricing. Okay. Fantastic.
They won't even answer
pricing.
They won't even answer
Before I always do this. I ask 3 questions before I send the pricing, and it's usually because I need them to engage with me first.
Yeah.
First question is, I need to know, are you getting married at your venue? Yes or no? Yes, we're getting married at the venue. Fantastic. So I would like to assume that you're going to need us to perform sound, microphone, things of that nature, music organization. Fantastic. Is your reception over 4 hours? Oh, they have a cocktail. So you need a total of 6 hours of coverage. Fantastic. Is there anything that you've seen before that you know you absolutely want to have, or you're completely new to this? These are the things that I talk about right off the bat. Why? I'm not trying to sell them something they're not looking for, and it also gives me information. Have you been shopping? If you have been shopping, you know what questions to ask. Don't pretend, okay, I know you're going to jump in, but let me just say this one thing.
That's why I bit my tongue.
Brides and grooms, trust me when I tell you.
We know when you were talking to somebody else.
You are not outsmarting us. You're not going to outsmart us. We've been doing it. True professionals know the truth. And here's the funny thing. Just tell us. Tell us you're shopping. It's okay. Tell us you're comparing. It's okay. You're an educated consumer. We are an educated business. It does not mean you have to be sly about it. If you're going to be sly about it,
he should have been a teacher.
Well, but
you should
be
have
honest,
been a teacher. You should have.
But let's be clear about something. Let's be clear about something.
You sound super educated.
But Chris, let's be educated about something. If they're going to be sly about something from the get-go, I don't want to work with you, because that just it initially tells me I have to prove my trust in a disassociated manner that you're like, I don't know if this guy's going to try to sell me. Well, dude, you're not even trying to get to know me. You're assuming that I am just like him, and he is just like him, and he is just like him, and you're going around in a circle assuming that we're all the same. Number one, like you alluded to earlier, you have to trust the personality of who you're trying to do business with. So if you can't even have an open conversation and it's solely a price gouging situation, then I promise you true professionals are not going to be the ones you're looking after. You're better off going to somebody you're finding on Instagram that does nightclubs, and they're going to give you the best price possible, because most of the time they're going to be
the nightclub guy
on
gets
average
anywhere
$2,000 less.
Yeah, without a doubt. I get that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
So I hope, guys, that if anything is educational. Don't try to outsmart us. If you're shopping, fine. And when we ask you, who are you shopping?
Just tell us.
Just tell us.
I'm cutting you off again. I'm sorry.
No,
I was putting a group chat the other day. We all got the same email. The best part is I was the last one on the email. She forwarded what she was forwarding to everyone else. So it was just weird, because I guess she didn't BCC the emails or whatever it was. And she wrote something, and it was very late at night. You messed up. This is not good.
Well, how many times have you and I even gone back and forth? But have you ever heard of this person? And you're like, dude, she just called me last week.
Yeah, all the time.
Like, it happens all the time, guys. We're not. DJs are actual friends.
Yes, majority of us are all
associated.
It's outside. Go pick it up.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's outside. Go get it.
Dude, well, that's actually how we also maintain business. I'm in a jam. Something happens. Something breaks.
I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be in a jam. So that's why my door's open to everybody. And once again, not playing the role. My door's open.
Yeah. Well, I also want to talk about shows, because you bring this up. Chris is referring to wedding shows, bridal expos. Like, there are different names you can have them all over the country. So why don't you do them? I want to hear your point of view on these.
Why don't I do them? Let's be real now. This is a great little segment here. The staff doesn't want to do them. That's number one. Staff that wants nothing to do with setting up, doing this, doing that. If you're not a favorite at the venue that they're doing a show, you're getting put on the back burner. Mm-hmm. Do you really want to walk around? Do you have the time? You don't have time to come in and talk to the professionals. Now you're going to have time to go and have pigs in a blanket and walk around and hear every vendor tell you how they're the best. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes or no? Am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong.
Right.
Not wrong.
With that being said, how do you justify that the person that's talking on the microphone from this company or that company or this is really the fit for you.
Well, you can't.
Because I could go do an American Cancer Society event and I'm talking like a robot.
Yeah.
How do you know that I'm really a hype man for your wedding in front of 300 people?
Yeah. Well, essentially, I'll tell you why we've tested them.
Yep.
So let me backtrack. We actually retested them back in 2023, and we just did
everybody tried to reinvent the wheel then. That was right out of the pandemic. I get it.
Yeah, and we this is what I've gathered when you go to a wedding show.
I like talking to people too. I'm cutting you off again. I'm sorry, bro.
No, it's okay. But it's number one is a networking event. That's essentially what it is. It's an opportunity for brides and grooms to walk into a room.
Yep.
And get incredibly overwhelmed with options, which already is a red flag. Because, again, unless you've been doing this for months or maybe a year at this point, you're walking into a showcase with no knowledge, and you're going to get bombarded with vendors that are looking to earn your business. And I think a big mistake that most vendors at that point do, they have two options of going at it. They try to sell you out the gate, which is a big problem, or they're too lax and they're like, oh yeah, just fill this out, we'll send you information, be cool with it. Neither one of those things are good for couples. They're not. It also comes down to how well you're known to the overall population that is in attendance, because if you don't know who I am, you're going to come to my booth and you're not going to know what I'm going to do. You have a total of maybe 2.5 hours to be in that room, and you're trying to talk to 20 plus vendors. That's not a lot of time to gather information, process it, and make any educated decision, even to leave information. So I'm like, do I even know this guy? Do I want to get spammed? Do I want to get the information, or am I just looking to gauge an idea? So to me, wedding showcases have become the area where you're in the mall and you have those kiosks in the middle of the mall, and the guy's like, hey, would you want to try the soap? And you keep walking. It's become that. And then it also becomes get all the information. The cheapest price wins, because, again, you're comparing all the vendors to each other. And there is absolutely no advantageous offer that you can give that benefits the company or the couple. It's very, very, very rare. Now, here's when it does work. When you already have your reputation to some capacity, that people recognize you and then want to go talk to you, then it's beneficial. But that's incredibly difficult for businesses, because how do you get the attention of a newly engaged couple, right? So wedding shows, brides and grooms. Here's a question. I dare you. I triple dog dare you to ask any vendor when you go. Here's the question. Why do you want to do my wedding? Watch them all squirm.
Oh, yeah.
Watch them squirm. It's the greatest show on earth. Promise you that.
I've seen a lot of things that get forwarded to me with that why do you want to do my wedding thing. I know this was used a lot in sales 10 years ago. You know, meet the person that's going to do your wedding.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this with every bit of truth to anyone that watches this. If you're not dealing with someone that is really, truly professional, they're giving your date to someone lower in the totem pole.
Most likely. Yeah.
They don't care about your wedding. That is a fact. That is a fact. 80% of the time, I walk into a venue. Oh, thank God you're here. I didn't create music. I didn't create the push-up, bro. I'm here. I enjoy what I do for a living when I'm not stressed out. Yeah. Every business owner is stressed out. 70% of my week, I'm stressed out. But when I'm there and I'm zoned in and a bride and groom is truly hugging and kissing me, thank you, you're here. Like, I didn't say I wasn't coming. Like, you don't have to say thank you, I'm here. You booked me. I'm here. I mean, it doesn't help. There's no retirement from this. It's you or nobody else. Right. Like, same thing with you. There's no one touching him. He's an unbelievable entertainer. You can't even teach someone to do what you do. It's impossible. Younger kids don't want to learn. Younger kids have no personality. Yeah. That's another podcast.
Well,
But what I'm getting at is what you were saying in the bridal show thing, this and that. You can talk to me, and if I'm available, I'm available. But 90% of bridal shows is, I don't have this, but Mike, Joe, Adam, Eve, this one, that one, they're going to call you on Monday, and we're going to set you up with somebody. They're just trying to fill the calendar for other people.
Is that okay? So that's a good question. Do you think that there's a standard in those companies that those workers have to abide by? Like, is there like a level that
I'm being dead honest. I don't know how other people operate. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know your business. I don't even ask. It's none of my business. Like the whole grass is not greener on the other side for me. Like I said, I come from nothing. I built what I built with being the underdog. And I truly love what I do. Like when people call me, you got to do my kid's communion. Yo, I'm not that guy. I ain't doing no friggin' communion. What are you kidding me? No doubt. I'm not in the Jewish market, so I didn't say bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
But how many kids? 60? I don't go.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, no problem. I'll be there. 1 to 5, no problem. I can't do overtime because I'm doing a wedding at 8 o'clock.
Right.
So Jennifer, if it's really a 1 to 5, I'm out as soon as the last dance is on. Yeah. I let them know from the beginning. There's never ever a bait and switch because it's personality-based business. You're not me and I'm not you.
Yeah.
So that whole thing is another thing that I go against as well, which I don't know how to put it in an educated term without coming off like a cocky knucklehead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's very hard. It's very hard for me to bite my tongue to say what I really want to say.
Well, I'd rather you I bring on the podcast because this is I say a safe space, folks. This is like therapy for DJs.
Yeah.
But it's also it's also enlightenment for everybody watching this. I'll go out and say I think that very, 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 very few what we call factory companies, meaning companies that can do 5 events in one night without blinking. Very few of those factories actually have a above standard bar that's set for their entertainers to meet. Yeah. And what I mean by that is like, okay, if you want exceptional, there's only a handful of people within a company that usually exceed exceptional. It's very rare that everybody under an umbrella company are exceptional. It's very, very rare. And I think that's what you're attesting to is like, oh, well, I want Chris because I know Chris delivers and he reps this brand. Now, a brand's concept is like, well, if you work for me, here's the bar. But are they really at the bar or are they below is the question.
I've experienced so much.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of talk through other people, other companies, I guess you could say. Everyone is different. It's so hard to even touch this topic.
Yeah.
People truly don't care. And I hate to say it, but I don't want to say I'm old because I'm not. There's a lot more people that are a lot older than me and you doing this. But it goes back to you showing me a photo. But you're not telling the rest of your people that no one was on the dance floor. Why did you hire music for your party? To dance, correct?
Yeah.
Because I'll be more than happy to send 5 trucks out a week and give you a cool setup and not have to worry about who dances or not.
That's why a lot of people go into the production aspect. Because it's easier for them to actually do
without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I had somebody the other day from Long Island. He's like, are you going to tap into the production market? I'm like, I'm already in the production market. I don't want to do the production. Maybe when I'm 65 years old and I could get 18-year-old kids that know what they're doing, maybe I'll do it just to keep the name around. But I truly enjoy entertaining. Entertaining
has become, in its own right, a skill that is
the production that you're talking about, that he was talking about at weddings, that's not even production. I'm around some guys that do production.
Yeah.
Like 4 to 6 moving heads is not production.
No.
If you're new to this and you're getting into this, or you're a young kid and you're striving to think that what we're talking about is huge, it's not. Believe me, I used to think it was big. It's not. I've been in some 50, 60, 70,000 square foot shops where they're prepping 100 moving heads for a show.
Dude,
I was shaking looking at stuff because stress. It ain't even my job. It ain't even my gear.
I've seen
You've seen it all.
When Aldo and I had to do a job in Miami for this ridiculous client, we had to sign an NDA because they had performers there that we couldn't discuss or film. And I remember pulling up to the venue and I saw outside, I think I counted or I stopped counting after 9 25-foot box trucks
or 18-wheelers.
That were completely empty. And outside was half vendors, half were caterers, the other half were performers, the other half were technicians, security. Like it was Grammy-esque, this event. And that's production, folks.
Right.
Like the things you see on TV, that's production.
I've done so much of that I don't put out there. What am I going to do? Have a bride think, why don't we have this? Like you might be able to pull up. Can you pull up the internet on under my company name? Yeah. Like I don't have any of the old 4th of July stuff, but the newer 4th of July client, what I put together with a personal friend of mine, it's outright bananas. Like why would I even show that to a bride and groom?
Are we doing C4 event group?
Try the event group one.
Okay, so let's just.
because sometimes I post, sometimes the guy posts on it. I don't even know what you'll be able to see, but if you see like you want to talk, oh, that's cool. Keep going, scroll. Oh, those might be reels. You might have to go to some like this. This was go back. This was recent. This was a test. Keep going. One more. The 3 musicians. Keep going. Right there. Like the 3 floating musicians.
Yeah.
That was a test. That was somebody telling me that I can't do that.
Yeah. Alex. I know Alex. It's good people. This guy, awesome.
We're not the DJs.
Yeah.
I can disclose who that is. I'm not a hater.
Yeah.
We're not the DJs. The DJs who are actually doing the event put me on to this client.
This is dope.
And we hit it off. But that's a test. That was legitimately a test. How are you going to get them on and off? And then I explained to the client that he's doing it wrong. Like you've seen that at a hotel when cocktail hour was over.
Yeah.
Everyone went inside. And then they did what I did to get them off the stage.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
Like your party was like that, so they unfortunately had to see.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But if it's the same house, if you black out of this, I guess, and scroll down, you'll see like real production from 4th of July.
Well, here's a video from them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a video for musicians. That was really nothing to it. I mean, to everyone else, it was bananas, but it's what we do.
Right.
It's just I don't stress about it on Instagram like I it's not like I created something tremendous.
I love, by the way, when you do the assertives on the floor. I love that.
That's the Hilton in Staten Island.
Yeah, love that. Love this. But again,
dance over pool.
Yeah,
that's something we do. I get inquiries 5 times a day for that. You don't want to pay,
especially in the summer, especially spring and summer. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to find out 4th of July. Keep going.
Is this it?
No, that was a 4th of July event. I was arrested 3 times building that.
I'm not surprised.
I was arrested 3 times building
because it was right off the beach, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Did they have? You guys didn't have the permits? They didn't get the permits for it?
Client. There's no permits with that client.
Oh.
There's no client. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was like my original C4 crew too that helped me build that.
Yeah.
That was many years ago, but I don't know. Maybe it's not on here. I don't even know.
Dude, you have so much on here. It's not even like...
I know. I mean, like I said, I just post what's really relevant. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, my God. I still love goalposts.
I couldn't even tell you how long ago that was.
I still love this design, though. I still think it's so...
It says we posted it 12 weeks ago, but that was 100% like 2017, 2018.
Yeah. But I still love that design. I still think it's incredibly useful, and you can get so much more out of it. Honestly, dude, like, again, I can't stress this. Oh, this I actually saw. I meant to save. Love what you did with the glow-in-the-dark tape on the stage.
Yeah, that was...
Love it. I love that idea. Yeah, I love that idea because I'm like, okay, that's actually really smart because now that this is illuminated before anybody else is there, love that concept. But, folks, this is what we're talking about in regards to being unique and educated in what you could do creatively to enhance your event. Just with the aesthetics that you're probably looking for. Too many people think the aesthetics are solely just like the scenery or, the outdoors part of the venue. No, you got to make every part of what you're doing aesthetic. Even sometimes when you just do something like this.
Right.
Beautiful aesthetics. I mean, so much can be done. Video walls is another thing. I love video walls that are separated and not that big bulky one.
I tell everyone the same thing. I think we're up to like... we have 1.9s coming in, like 150, 1.9. So 3.9s, IOs, indoor, outdoor. I think we have like 700 panels. I don't even put them out anymore. I don't even put them out. And there's a reason why we don't put them out. Do you know that there's only at Park Chateau, where the DJ's set up, 5 dedicated 20s?
Not surprised.
So when your DJ's telling you he's giving you an 8x16 and you're really getting a 6x12, that only uses 2 to 3 dedicated 20 amp lines. Yeah. Then you got to run sound and lighting.
Right.
So that's something like, once again, I'm not that guy to jump on there and talk into a camera about how they're doing it wrong and we're doing it right or vice versa, because I had to start somewhere myself.
I had to start, that's why I started doing site surveys. So one of the things I used to do
you always have to do it when it comes to that.
But I had the client come with me. So one of the things, I will tell you this too, especially if you're a couple that's trying to actually enhance the room.
Right.
Number one, you have to get the venue on board. And if you're paying them, we are still guests in their house. Even though you're paying them, we're all guests in their house. They can choose to terminate the contract. They can do whatever they want. And if you don't think that's true, trust me, you're wrong. So that's number one. Number one is you got to go over there and you got to be able to say, okay, we want to do all of this. And I suggest you do this with your florist. I suggest you do this with a decorator. I suggest you do this with your entertainment. I suggest you do this even to some capacity, videography and photography. You need to go there and you need to paint the picture right there of what you want to do. And then you got to let the professionals tell you what you can or cannot do based on space, power, timelines, so on and so forth. We've had flambe stations that aren't done because there's no room to put them. Because you have 18 tables that are taking up the outskirts of the room. The only other place to do is on the dance floor, which you're now confined because you use too much space. There's so many things that you really need to allow us to work with you on. And if you don't, if you try to just DIY it, you're in for a very, very, very rude awakening. Which goes to my next topic, DIY weddings. Okay. Now here's the crazy part about you and I, right? I think we both believe that it comes down to the core concept of the music that really makes or breaks a party, right?
Can I talk?
Yeah, go.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm like a kid.
Go.
People have asked DIY. I cut you off. So in regards to DIY, explain what you're about to say.
I do believe that you could spend less than $20,000 on a wedding and have an absolute banger of a wedding.
100%.
100% you can.
My biggest thing, I speak to bride and grooms like this. Oh, we're going to do it small. It's in the backyard. I've done backyard weddings. I've done a wedding where Alicia Keys was in front of me on a piano. Yeah. I'm that guy. You might have seen it. You might not have. I don't brag about what I did in the past, but I've been to backyard ragers. Like, we look at each other like, bro, this was awesome. Mm-hmm. This was awesome. Like, we put LEDs around the backyard. And they rocked.
Yeah.
We've put 50,000 in equipment in a room. Mm-hmm. They did not want to be bothered with being there. Mm-hmm. So DIY weddings, I don't knock them. I'm not too good for them. I actually love them.
Yeah.
Because they're fun.
Especially if you allow the DIY to be centralized around the important things like the liquor and the DJ. Let's call it like so. Joey's cousin just got married last Friday, and they did it in the backyard.
Oh, some of my buddies were there. I used to jet ski with them. Yeah, I seen that.
And I was like, dude, if they spent $10,000, I feel like that was a stretch. And it was still, they had the time of their lives.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
you're saying it and you're stretching it. You're doing it for a reason. It's called love. Mm-hmm. We're not doing this to show off to Uncle Joe's friends from Brooklyn or these guys from Colts Neck. You're not doing and going above and beyond to show off. Mm-hmm. Like stop that. Like you're not supposed to do that.
It's very outdated, actually. Showing off your wedding has become more outdated than anything, especially in today's world where everything is becoming DIY.
Go back to a photo, the black rap dance floor that we didn't do the install, but. I'm going to tell you this right now. This client is very, very, very reputable. And I hope you make this a post to me because I honestly, I want to say something. It's very touching.
Actually, I want to see. I know I saved it. Give me 1 second. Saved.
Yeah. C4
This one, right? This one?
Yeah. So I'm going to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. The caliber of this bride and groom is so and I mean this. I'm not saying it because I actually seen them out the other night. She's elite. She's heavily involved in the wedding industry. Mm-hmm. It was an honor to get a call to be a part of her big day. Mm-hmm. She could have chose anyone. She works with tons of other production companies, this and that. She does a ton of runway fashion shows off camera. I'll tell you who it is. Mm-hmm. People who are there will see this. I'm sure you remember me, but. We weren't even going to do lighting. We weren't going to do TVs, but simplified, less is more. Mm-hmm. Originally, I was going up top. That's Hudson House.
Yeah.
They didn't even want us to be seen, which wasn't she didn't want us to be seen because she didn't want us to be seen. It was less is more. Mm-hmm. We're not here to show off. This isn't a showcase. Me and my husband are getting married because we love each other. We've been together X amount of years. The dance floor popped. It's almost like you needed it because that room doesn't have a dance floor.
No, they don't.
There was a same day edit involved. The only thing that went on those screens were the same day edit. Mm-hmm. There was no motion, monogrammed, anything like that. Stayed like that, and then we played a same day edit. That was it. There's nothing else on those screens. Mm-hmm. But less is more. That's only 6 fixtures. I have some aesthetic tubes in there just to go black and white with it. But what I'm getting at is sometimes less is more. Mm-hmm. And that client could have told me I wanted things hanging from the rafters, and it could have been done.
I have to ask, did they give you a floor plan for this, for you to design this, or was
it? I walked in that room, and I was like this. I'm going to be dead honest with you. It was my first time working with her. Mm-hmm. her mom and dad, I met them, awesome people. Which that could be a big effect on your wedding day too, brides. When your mom and dad interject, I understand that your mom and dad, I have a mom and dad as well, but they could put stress on your vendors. Because I not this client, but other clients, you see people moving very like, I don't know. The mom came in the room and she snapped out, but that's for another day. What I'm saying right here is mom and dad were awesome. Everyone expected this bride to be like, because of who she was. She walked in the room. I heard, "Oh my God, I love it." I says, "Awesome." I moved your bride and groom table.
Yeah.
I moved. Go back to that.
Because they usually put it right there.
No.
They usually.
Let me tell you where it was. It was connected to the sub and the top.
This one.
That moved to your left.
This one.
Right there.
Yeah. So,
I moved it.
So we did that too.
Why? You can't do that. No, I'm gonna. And I'm gonna explain to her why I moved it. Because they were afraid, you know. I'm and no offense to anyone. If whoever reads this, you could post this 1,000 times. Can we do away with I'm the day of planner and I'm the party planner? Can we do away with that, please? Can we come up with something better for 2025? Hi, I sent you an email of the timeline. That's terrific. I'm very happy for you.
Yeah, we do our timeline.
When the bride turns around to me and goes, "Chris, I'm not going out there right now to do this. Your timelines means nothing anymore." Not insulting, not throwing digs, but it just...
Well, we've talked about that. We've talked
I'm
about
sure
that.
you have.
We've talked about that on the podcast.
That's another thing.
About timelines, but also I want to say something about this venue.
Beautiful venue.
Beautiful venue. We did a wedding there, and the client ordered a saxophonist, percussionist. I want to say it was 4 intels.
Right, and they told you there's no room.
But they also wanted a stage. They wanted a stage in order for the entertainers to be lifted. And as soon as I get there, because we asked for the floor plan and they never sent it to us. And when we got there, I noticed that the bride and groom's table is exactly where you're saying it was. Exactly where you're saying
Dead center.
And I remember just looking at it, I'm like, guys,
I did 2 walkthroughs.
We have to.
It's 24 feet between the white pillar to the white pillar.
So just for my edification, where did you put the sweetheart table from there? Where'd you put it?
Okay, I'm sorry. So if we go back to this now, I went dead center with the wrapped dance floor.
Yeah.
In a professional world, that's how it should be done.
Yeah.
They wanted me to
over.
to go to the right-hand side and the bride and groom to the left of me.
Yeah,
So when you walked in the room, you'd be looking at a DJ that's not centered with the floor.
But that's what happened with us.
And I says, absolutely not. I met the decorator at the walkthrough. She's she's the decorator. She didn't want to step on toes. She's like, "What are you going to do?" I says, "Watch." I said, "Just have the girls move the candles and move the floral. I don't want to drop them on you." I grabbed my staff. I says, "We're moving the table." They're all like, "You're out of your mind." They said, No, because when she walks in the room after you're set up and taped down and throws a hissy fit, no matter what bride it can be, you as a professional need to know how to act and how to move and work under pressure. That doesn't make me better than the next.
You have to also impose your will on what you know is right and what's wrong. And I think that's a lot of people think that aesthetics overtake execution. What I mean by that is, like, folks, if you think that putting this table here or that table there or the floors here or floors there because it looks better in pictures, that may be true to some capacity, but you didn't think about the execution of the reception of why people are there to begin with. One of the biggest issues I have is when, we talked about this in another podcast as well, is when you put grandma and grandpa near the DJ booth. Why would you do that?
Say that again? I'm sorry. I was answering an email. I apologize.
When you put grandma and grandpa near the DJ booth, why would you do that? Like, why would you do... Oh, because aesthetically, they're supposed to be closest to the bride and groom sweetheart table. Okay, yes, but what happens when those people who typically, because they're older, and they're, generally speaking, not the ones to move as much, they're usually rooted in their seats because of their incapability of being able to physically move.
Because they're older, correct.
And when we have to play music loud, that's painful for them. That's not something to joke about. That's something that's actually really, really uncomfortable. And then on our side, we get we see this.
No.
Right?
No. You know what I like? When people walk in front of the speaker and do this.
Yeah.
So you know what I do? I shut the music off. And they'll look at me. I shut it off so you can walk right by me. There's only 4,000 square feet of room space you can walk around. You walked in front of us, so we shut the music off for you.
Dude, it's...
Now we embarrass you.
I cannot explain enough how many times that I have gone to war with venues and go to bat with it. And the funny thing is that when the bride and groom agree with us, that's when venues hate DJs. I really do believe that. It's usually when the DJs apparently have influence on the bride and groom, and all of a sudden the venues are like, well, screw you because you weren't here all day setting up. I'm like, you set up without the prerequisite of getting the approval from your client. That's your fault. Sorry. That's your fault. That's not on us. It's not on us. I've said many a times, I have a fiduciary responsibility. That's actually one of our mottos. We have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure
I have to Google that word. That's a very large word in my vocabulary.
Fiduciary basically means that the monetization is basically like we actually have a reason due to you are paying us. We have a duty to make sure you're getting what you want. So that's really what it is. You're paying us to get what you want, and that comes with all forms of the execution of your reception. And I think there's too many people just don't side with that. They don't understand that. And because they don't understand it, the venue, listen, in their point of view, they do dozens of hours. Like most venue staff workers on average work 12-hour days, especially if they're doing an event prior.
Correct.
They're working very long days. I get it. I've been there. You definitely have. I know because you're the quintessential hustler. I think you.
I took an Uber to work the other day just so I could get 45 minutes of sleep.
I think you've had more jobs than a Jamaican. I swear.
Yeah.
You are by far the busiest guy I think I know. I think I want to basically wrap up with stating that when we have our gripes with our experiences, it goes really from frustration of two things. It goes to the frustration of, okay, the clients don't know better.
No.
And because they don't know better, and we have a defensive right as your selected vendors to defend you to some capacity from misinformation or mistreatment. And when we go out and do these events and we stumble on these issues that we talked about today, it's incredibly frustrating because they never change. It's the same dog and pony show every time with the same issues. This isn't here right. This wasn't done right. This wasn't discussed. Bride and groom said this when they really didn't say that. And it's always because of lack of communication. It's lack of education. These are all things that, quite frankly, as a community of wedding vendors, we need to get better for our clients. So if you're watching this podcast, first off, we thank you for even giving us the opportunity to speak on it. But also understand that when we gossip like this, it's not out of vain. It's really for you to understand the other side of the fence so you can make educated decisions to protect yourselves so we don't always have to do it for you, right? I guess my last question to you, Chris, is where do you see the wedding industry going? Like what trends are heading in that direction? You can go any which way you want to go with that because there are quite a few for me that I've seen, and I'll discuss that briefly. But
I'll let you go first on that because I don't know what route you're going.
Well, micro weddings are number one. I think more and more people are having smaller and smaller gatherings, with the exception of.
All right, so stop there.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't make a difference if you're having 50 people at your wedding or 550 people at your wedding. You're hiring entertainment to entertain whoever's a guest at your wedding. This is not pre-scripted. This is not whatever. I've learned this through one real deal professional, and he said it to me the way. Do you want to do $300 jobs? Do you want to do $3,000 jobs? Do you want to do $300,000 jobs? Micro this, tremendous that. At the end of the day, we're your entertainers. We're not your decorators. We're not everything. But if you really think about it, we're doing everything.
Yeah, we are. We talked about that too. Is like once.
And I just received a text message that I'm happy I'm here because I can put this in words right now. My friend's cousin is a DJ. Can he do a set at the wedding? And I hate that we keep talking about weddings because that's my majority of what we really do.
Well, essentially, that's that's really what the podcast is about because I think the majority of our clientele are wedding clients. But actually, that's a good topic because
the bride is calling me now. I hope you see this. We're talking about you in a good way. But now what? Now how do you do that?
Well, okay.
Is it free-for-all?
No.
Right.
Well, no. Number one,
we're not pre-programmed.
No.
Right.
But I also tell them, okay, I will say this.
Go ahead.
Number one, have they agreed to this? That's my first question. Have they agreed to even do a set? Okay. Number two, I will say yes under two conditions, two major conditions. Number one, all of us get on a call together. And I'm talking a Zoom meeting. Forget phone calls. I need a Zoom. I need to know the professionalism. I need to know what it is they do, how interested they are, and what direction they're going to go in. And the third stipulation is a dedicated amount of time of which they're doing it. Meaning, when are they going to go on? What's their responsibility? And we lay this out now. Why? I'm not going to say no to you, but understand, I have to vet and probe this person to make sure they're not going to completely ruin this. Because
you're a brand, he's not. There's a reason why he's not doing the wedding.
Right, and it's also one of the things where, well, again, why? Like, okay, I have to use my personal experience recently in Texas. I'm sure, I don't know if you saw. My buddy got married in Texas.
Awesome.
He's from New York. Mm-hmm. He moved to Texas right before we went to high school. He obviously understands the differences between a New York and New Jersey style wedding versus what a typical Texas wedding in regards to celebration. Mm-hmm. And I'll break it down in as simply and as quickly as possible. New York is notoriously known for going above and beyond in craziness. Texas is more laid back, and it's more of like, okay, for 2 hours you're dining, talking, getting all the formalities done. The last 2 hours is a party, and they treat it like a bar. Okay, two entirely different ways of doing things. Also, the music's very different. It's very different. So he asked me, would you mind throwing down a set at the wedding?
Of course.
Not because I don't trust the DJ. It's just I have 90 guests coming in from New Jersey or New York.
And that person there should know that it wasn't done maliciously. He probably can't program the night correctly for a New York style wedding.
That was the thing. I remember he had asked me to do a favor, and he goes, can you send over like a Spotify playlist of things that would usually be played, like, you know, the typical 2000s vocal house or DJ's music, stuff like that. I said, I'd be happy to do so because I was a guest at this wedding. I was attending the wedding. I had really no inclinations of hopping on until he had asked me.
You were trying to have a night off.
I did. So the problem is that the DJ was, and I can't stress this enough, Dom Nigella did a fantastic job. He was not doing a poor job at all. He was not. He was doing very, very well, in my opinion, in a professional sense. The issue is that Kenny wanted a atmosphere that was just a rising energy level throughout the duration of the night.
Yep.
And Texas DJs typically don't do that. It's a peak and valley type of night where they're going to play hip hop, they're going to play R&B. They like to settle in that 80 BPM T-Pain bar songs because people sing, dance, and go on with it.
That's what they're used to.
And this was when I started noticing that Kenny never even got on the dance floor because he was getting pulled around one way or another. But it was also because he wasn't gravitating towards the dance floor. And let me tell you something, folks. If you're a bride and groom and you're constantly being pulled by other vendors and you're not fighting to go to the dance floor, that's usually because the DJ is not doing their job well enough for you to say, no, I want to go there. Okay? I want to go there. So I looked at my wife and I go, Dom and I had already talked prior to the wedding, and we actually hugged it out. We were talking bullshitting. And I just remember telling him this: hey, bud, I'm going to make one song suggestion, and that's it. Play One More Time by Daft Punk. They're going to go nuts for it. Cool. So, in a DJ's perspective, when do you play One More Time? You have to play the dun, 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 dun. You have to play that synth loop at the beginning.
Correct.
Why? Because that's the prerequisite for people here, and they're going to go, oh,
and then running to the dance floor.
And they're waiting for that one more time, right? They're waiting for that. If you blend in at the one more time portion, meaning if you don't play that synth in its own right, you lose that epic drop moment.
Correct.
Well, here's the thing. Mistake number one is that he didn't do that. And I said, okay. But people started gravitating towards it, and I'm dancing with my wife, and all of a sudden I realize, oh my God, he's not quick mixing it out. So there's that valley in One More Time where it's like that same, what if, you know what I'm talking about, that portion. And I go, oh no.
The moral of this the moral of wrapping this up is where if a bride or a groom is watching this, it's already there's too much. It's too much for them to consume.
Yeah.
They don't understand who's good and who's not.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Well, I think yes and no. I'll agree to disagree on this behalf. I think bride and grooms know the difference between a good and a bad DJ. They just don't know the levels of a good DJ. Because a good DJ in certain scenarios are good DJs.
Yep.
There are good bar DJs, right? There are good
but this is not
DJs.
a bar. This is a 4 to 5 hour wedding reception.
And making
quote unquote the
right.
biggest day of your life.
Right. And then making
the energy level should be at level 10. It could be a super duper black tie affair, classy level 10. It could be beer, champagne squirting backyard level 10 as well. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't understand what makes some people choose who they choose.
Because they've seen them in a different atmosphere and they think that atmosphere translates to their wedding. That's the answer. If I see them DJing at a bar that I used to go to every single Friday and they were a resident DJ there and they always played dope music, they think that music's going to translate well to their wedding. And surprise, it doesn't.
It does not.
It will for the last hour or it will for the last half. But typically when you have older guests, from my experience, majority of those DJs don't have that knowledge or that backing. Unless they are very, 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 very big students of our industry, they don't know how to entertain other people that are not outside the atmosphere you saw them in. So if you saw somebody at a nightclub, they're nightclub DJs. Most of the time. They cater to nightclub crowds. They cater to bottle services. They cater to, guys paying for females to arrive. Then you also have bar ones, which are what? Long, in my opinion, marathon mixing. That's 6 hours straight of just like, okay, play whatever makes the bar music. And when people get drunk, I have maybe an hour to get them turned up. And then after that hour, it's like, okay, we got to start winding things down because the bar closes in 45 minutes. So you're like, okay, listen, guys, there are formulas to what we do. You don't know them, and that's okay. You're not supposed to know them.
It's called programming a night.
Yeah, programming a night. Yeah, there's a run of show that internally we go through in our heads, we prep for, we understand, and we rehearse both before the job and during the job. But don't ever assume that just because you've seen somebody do one thing that they could do all things, because they can't. They can. And I think that's where we're going to wrap it up because I think that there's so much we can go into. And I know I'm going to have you back on here at some
I would love to come back. It's just a great day.
As always, it's always a pleasure seeing you, man. We don't get together enough.
It's because we work too much.
Yeah, we gotta take days off and plus with our kids.
Yeah.
But I want you to give yourself the opportunity. Tell people where they can find you, where they can book you. Like, tell everybody about you.
Chris Liconti, nickname is Chris Ox, company brand name C4 Event Group. You could just slap me right in Google. We'll pop up. Check the reviews out. Check our customer service reports out. We have 2 Instagram pages, I think.
Yeah.
C4 Event Group and C4 DJs, C4 DEEJYS. Mm-hmm. There's a reason behind that. C4 Event Group's more on the wedding corporate side, and then DJs is, we do everything under the sun under that brand. So it's same brand, same people, just, marketed to different ways. And that's really it. I mean, that's us. I mean, it was an honor to be here. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I want to thank Chris for coming out here. And I'm John Devine. You can find me at official John Devine on Instagram and TikTok, and of course, YouTube. Also, Alive Events, ENT. We are a wedding entertainment company out of the New Jersey and New York tri-state area. If you are getting married and you guys are looking for tips, tricks, and whatnot, this is Mixed Conversations, where I bring in tons of event specialists to help you plan, gossip, and understand the wedding industry. So, guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yep. See you guys soon. Peace.
Peace.